Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the future of the water and wastewater industry and careers you didn't know about, as well as the people that run them. And I'm your host, Dave Kuzminski, and we are live here at the Cave, which is the annual technical conference and vendor expo for the Connecticut section. And with us, is one of the main men that make it happen over here, along with his wife, Romana, Mr. Rob Longo, and Rob is actually the superintendent of the Bristol Water Department. Hi, Rob.
Dave, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming over. I think we're knocking out a few episodes over here. We've got a whole pool of employees that we can kind of hopefully let our young listeners know about the careers that are available. So, tell us what's your day job, man?
So I'm the superintendent of Bristol Water and Sewer Department in Bristol, Connecticut. So I've been there for about 15 years now.
Yeah. Okay. So, now, what was your first job in the water industry?
Ooh, my first job, I worked for Valley Water. Actually, it was Plainville Water Company at the time when I started there back in 96, I believe, 97, somewhere around there. So.
Who was running Plainville back then?
So it was Don Vaughn was the one that hired me. Don just recently retired when the company sold to Eversource.
Okay, all right. So. Yeah, wow. So what was your job responsibility there?
So I started out. It's kind of ironic how I got into the industry because I went to college and I got a degree in environmental science, and I came out at the tail end of the whole environmental science boom, where the job market just kind of went down, and put out 200 resumes and could not get a job anywhere.
Okay.
And one day I got a phone call from my 80-year-old grandmother and said, "I've got a job for you." And I said, "Sure you do, Grams." And sure enough, she got me an interview at Plainville Water, and I started in the road crew there. And the first week on the job, it was very interesting because I grew up in a construction company.
Okay.
And my father sold off the business and went to work for Tilcon and was an independent contractor where he would haul for paving roads.
Yeah.
And my first week on the job, he was paving New Britain, I think it was New Britain Ave in Plainville in front of J. Timothy's, and I was down the street with a hammer busting open water gate valves.
Hey.
And I came home that night, and he said, "That's what I paid for 4 years of college for."
Ouch.
And I said, "You got to start somewhere." So
there you go.
That's where I started out, and I started, I was very fortunate with Valley Water or Plainville Water at the time to be able to work my way up and actually do everything.
Right.
We changed meters. We did our own repairs. We did our own water treatment. So I learned everything in a very short time.
Well, ditto. I mean, I did the same thing at Portland Water.
Yep.
When you're dealing with a small company, you don't have the resources that a big company has that, you got to know it all. You got to do it all.
You got to know it all, and that's a good thing. It gives you a good experience, and, you're the one there when there's only 2 or 3 people to handle it.
So when you started there, obviously you had no certifications, no nothing.
I had no certifications. I immediately went to Gateway. I went through the operator training there. So I was doing that 2 to 3 nights a week.
There you go.
And I was actually talking with Wes Winterbottom today about it. And back in my day, I hate to say it, not that I'm old, but we used to go to North Haven. Yep. And the professor at the time would, it'd be 10 o'clock, and the janitor's shutting the lights off in the hallway telling us we got to go home. And we were all still there. So.
I was right there with you. Yep. I started there. Well, Wes was on. In fact, we just did Wes before Peter.
Okay.
And so forth. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 7. We're going to rack them up here today.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, but yeah, the North Haven campus, and then obviously the Gateway campus. Remember, it was down next to Regional.
Next to Regional, yeah. I remember those days.
Now, Wes has got this now brand new campus on downtown New Haven and so forth, and he's still having fun. So that's good. So how did you embark on your what was your first certification?
So I actually went for both. I went for treatment and distribution, and got a class 1, I believe, in both, and then a class 2. Treatment has never been my stronghold. Distribution is what I do, and so I got my 3. I kept my 2 in treatment and went from there.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. Yeah, I mean, Portland is a smaller system, so forth, and we buy most of our water from MDC. But we're now looking for another water source to kind of become more self-sufficient as far as that goes. So, so when did you move over to Bristol?
So I actually went to Bristol I've been there 15 years now, so I believe it was 2006. I came in as an assistant superintendent for construction.
Okay.
Which was kind of new to me. I grew up in construction, But in Plainville, we never had our own backhoes, our dump trucks, etc.
Okay.
So I knew distribution and I knew pipes and I
Yep.
knew how to put it in, but it was a learning curve there of the excavation aspects.
Right now, how many? Plainville. How many customers were in Plainville?
So in Plainville, I think we had 6,200, and Bristol is 18,000.
Okay. Wow.
So a big size. And
Okay.
Plainville had 2 well fields, so a Class 2 facility.
Yep.
While I was at Plainville, I actually went and became I think I was vice president of the service division and was handling jobs all over New England.
Okay.
So I was working with other large municipalities all the way up to the Canadian border
Nice.
at the time. So it got me a little bit of an understanding of the municipal setting.
Right.
Coming from the private end to go to municipality was a big change.
Okay. Sure.
So it was kind of made it the transition a little bit easier for me.
Okay. Nice. Now, how many employees do you have in Bristol?
So for water, we have 36. That includes our office staff, and we just 2 years ago, I'll say we merged our sewer division into water.
Okay.
So now we're up to about 69, I think, 68, somewhere around there.
Okay. All right. Now, I just met one of your new hires, your office manager.
Our new office manager, Dawn Labella, she
Okay.
came to us back in July.
Okay.
And she actually is a existing city employee. She worked in the town clerk's office, and
Okay.
never thought that we would bring somebody in from the city without any experience in water. And when I read her resume, I'm like, yeah, we've got to talk to this girl.
Good. Good. Well, I'm going to put the arm on her next. Okay, get her over here. So, because that's good. As you know, the water industry is, as well as many other industries, is suffering a rash of retirements, and
Yes.
we got to start filling this pipeline, because when you and I walk out the door, there's going to be a knowledge void there.
And I hate to say it, but that's kind of what really got me into the industry. I was fortunate enough, like I said, when I was in Plainville, to get involved in a lot of different organizations. I wasn't involved with the Connecticut section, but I was involved with NAWC and the private sector aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd go into meetings, and everybody had gray hair.
Yeah.
And I said,
Or no hair.
hey, or no hair. I'm like, there's an opportunity here. And
Yeah.
so I was a benefit of that, and now we're going to see the succession of that.
Sure,
So,
sure. Well, that's when I started this podcast, and like I say, we're up to episode number 7 now. But it's there's a dire need. Okay, our first episode, I had Lori Matthew on, and our second episode was Maureen Westbrook, who's the president of Connecticut Water, and then Bill Sullivan came on to talk about operator certification and how many operators we've got in the states. Those statistics are staggering. When you and I started, there was like over 800 operators in the state. Now there's 4.
yeah.
So that's and a lot of these operators are managing more than one system.
It is, and consolidation and things of that nature. And I was in the contract ops when I was at New England Service Company, and I was managing 20 different systems in Connecticut, small ones.
Yeah.
But you're seeing a lot of that go by the wayside. But
Yeah.
when I came into Bristol, they had 2 certified operators.
Oh,
So they had 26 employees, a Class 4 plant with only 2 certified operators.
ouch.
We now, at the height, I think we had 18.
Okay.
We've changed job descriptions for the majority of our staff through the union negotiations,
Okay.
brought it up to requirements and incentives.
Yeah.
I've got a backhoe actually a dump truck operator here today, and in most municipalities, a dump truck operator stays in that dump truck. He's got a Class 3 distribution,
Nice.
and he went and did it on his own and got an incentive to do it. And now I can trust him into filling in when our crew leader's not there. So.
Sure. Now, does Bristol offer tuition reimbursement and so forth?
We do, upon a passing grade.
Okay. All right. That's cool. Now, he's on the water side, or
He's on the water
he's
side.
on the water side. I see. Okay. So, obviously, you're in a water family. Your wife is the executive director here, who basically put this whole thing on today. As long as
She's a champion, I'll tell you.
and she works very, very hard, and making this all happen. Obviously, and not being able to get together in almost 2 years. This is people were hungry to get together. Plus, everybody needs the CEUs. Get those operator certifications. As far as that goes. So anyway, so what do you do for fun?
Well, I'm fortunate. I have a wonderful wife, as we all know.
Yeah.
Everybody tells me that. So we have 2 kids, a senior in high school and a freshman. do a lot of fishing, a lot of boating, get a lot of time with the family, a lot of lacrosse practices and plays. And
Oh, yeah.
next weekend, we'll be sitting through 4 performances at New Easton High School
Okay.
for both our kids in the play. So
Okay.
we get a lot of that done. But Ramona and I also enjoy getting out and doing things. So,
that's
we'll spend a lot of time together. So
Yeah, that's super. Favorite sports teams?
everybody's going to laugh at this one, but I'll tell a quick little story if you don't mind.
Sure, not at all.
I was the chair for NAWC New England chapter, which was National Association of Water Companies, which was the private sector.
Yeah.
And I was doing a lot of work up in Massachusetts and things of that nature. And it was my year to host the annual event. So we had our annual conference, and they went and booked it at Foxborough. And I walked in, and everybody that knows me in the time, I walked in with a little brown paper bag. And I went up to the podium, and I sat there, and I looked at everybody, and I said, okay. I opened up the brown paper bag, and I took my Jets hard hat out and put it on the table. And I said, we may be in Foxborough, but I have all your credit cards, and I will double bill anyone that contests with my hat being here. So I am a diehard Jets fan, watching them lose every year, but diehard.
Jets. Yes. Exactly. We had an old town planner, that worked for the town of Portland, Deanna Rhodes. And both her and her husband were diehard. They still are diehard Jets fans. In fact, they even bought, when they demolished the stadium, they bought 2 of the seats. And so forth. And that's it. They sit and they watch the Jets games, and win or lose, hook or draw out there. It's the green jerseys are on for sure.
It can be a miserable life at times, but it's what we do.
Yeah, well, so far. So, okay. The other question I started at is, okay, what's your favorite food? If you had to, if you could only eat one food a day, or what would that be?
If I could eat one dish every day for the rest of my life,
Yeah,
it would be shrimp fried diavolo at Salute in Hartford. It is my absolute favorite dish. Many people don't know this, and I don't want to chime in on Ramona, but Ramona and I actually went to college together. That's where we met. But she was the manager at Black Eyed Sally's in Hartford for many years.
Okay, I played there many years.
Yep, and she became very good friends with the maitre d' at Hot Tomatoes, who now is the owner of Salute Restaurant in Hartford. And Jimmy Consgrove is amazing, but his shrimp fried diavolo is to die for.
Now, I think they just opened up another one on Route 3 in Rocky Hill.
They did. We have not been there yet.
I hear it's killer.
I heard it's killer too. So if I had a food to pick, I'm a fisherman. Any sort of seafood I would love to have, but if you haven't tried it, go try it.
There you go. So anyway, going back to memory, what's your favorite memory in the water industry?
Oh God, I mean we have so many. There's always good, there's always bad. I mean we do a lot of great things in Bristol. We bring in all 6th grade students in the city of Bristol, and we give them a tour of our plant. I think my first experience being there and watching someone explain the water cycle and everything to a 6th grade student is very appealing and very interesting. I remember us in Plainville, very short resources, having a major water main break right outside of our treatment plant. 16-inch 90 blew off back when we had pagers, and my pager was ringing and ringing and ringing. And I drove by the job site on my way home that night, and who's one of my assistants now in Bristol, I worked with there, Joe Pagarulli, pulled up to the car, said, "Get out, you got to help me, you got to help me." And I said, I can't help you right now, Joe. And he said, "You got it, there's only 3 of us." And Ramona put out her hand and showed the engagement ring that we had just gotten engaged that night. And he's like, "Go home." And I said, so some of those things bring back the memories. I remember the 36-hour main breaks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've all been there.
Yeah, we had one the other night. We started, I think, like at 7:30 in the morning and finished at 11:30 at night.
Yeah. I remember guys just dancing in the street because they're just so exhausted, and they just, it just overcomes you. And the pride in the job, I think, is the biggest thing. People forget what we do, and people don't realize where your water comes from.
No, they don't. And unfortunately, it's one of the best kept secrets. And I keep telling, I've been teaching the water and people course now for quite a few years, and especially when you start doing presentations on the water cycle in the grammar school, those kids are like sponges. They absorb that information, and it's just heartwarming to see the look on their face when, oh wow, okay, and they, a lot of didn't have any clue where their water come from, okay,
No.
or what goes into making, clean water come out of the tap.
Exactly. They just take it for granted, and I get that. I did the same until I got in the industry. You turn it on, you let the hose run, you just play with it as a kid.
Yeah, yeah. Drink out of the hose.
Drink out of the hose, yeah. The warm hose that was in 90-degree weather for days.
Yeah, yeah. We were still here. We survived.
We're still, yeah.
Like my mother used to say, you're going to eat a pound of dirt before you die, or something like that, or whatever. So,
exactly.
yeah,
So
anyway, so any plans, major expansions in Bristol going on, or?
So we're still kind of grappling with the merger of the two divisions. There is a big cultural change with taking over a division from Public Works. So we're getting through that. We've got some retirements coming up that we're gearing for. We are right now doing I think it's a $3.7 million SCADA upgrade.
Okay.
Replacing our entire SCADA through our system.
Uh-huh.
So we've got some things, some lead and copper stuff like everybody's got, coming up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, nothing astronomically major.
Are you finding a lot of lead lines, or just mostly lead goosenecks?
We mostly have lead goosenecks.
Yeah, I think that's what we are too.
So I've never seen a lead line in Bristol anywhere, and we actually have some unique pipe in Bristol, which is concrete lined 1-inch pipe.
Really?
Yeah, I've never seen it until I went to Bristol, and I've worked all over New England. We are the only place, and we cut it open, and it's galvanized pipe with a concrete lining in the inside that is just as good as the ductile iron that's in the ground. So
wow.
It's different.
Unbelievable. Well, pipe has changed, obviously, throughout the years. So I don't know how much, back in the 50s when Transite came out, it was going to be the best thing since sliced bread, and not.
My employees will tell you, even if they're older than me, I'm a dinosaur.
Yeah.
I am not up to change. I don't like change. I was a double disc gate valve guy for years.
Yep.
They came out resilient wedge. But I also went through the trials and tribulations of it. In Bristol, we don't have much transite. We have a couple spots that are on private sides, but and we have no plastic. We do not allow plastic pipe on the customer side either. But I grew up, when I started in this industry, I worked with stovepipe.
Okay.
And if you don't know what stovepipe is, and I had to explain it to members of the DPUC, et cetera, it was put in the 1800s, and it was a layer of tin that was riveted with a layer of concrete with another layer of tin riveted and then another layer of concrete. Yeah. Well, stovepipe was great, and Peter could tell you too because they had it in Bridgeport when he was at Aquarion there, et cetera. But it doesn't crack, it explodes. And it blows a hole, and the only way to fix it with putting a repair band on it is to energize it. So you cut back the layer of concrete, you cut back the layer of tin, you put a repair band on it, you don't tighten it up, and you energize the pipe and tighten it up so it doesn't leak.
Really?
Yeah, scariest stuff we ever worked with.
Oh my gosh.
So anybody has transite, at times I'm like, you're a little bit fortunate. And I spent many years removing that, many construction projects in Plainville, getting it out. And I know Unionville, Farmington, the whole area had it. And,
no kidding. Wow, yeah. No, we have a fair amount of transite. Most back in the day, we put in a 16-inch transmission line, and that has relatively no problem at all. Yeah. It's the small 4- and 6-inch stuff that we have in a couple of streets that stuff just explodes. I mean, the couplings just bulb, or you fish eye a gasket or something like that. It gets crazy. So.
I'll never forget a time I was in Plainville, and the hammer always is problematic for a water system, no matter what it is.
Oh, sure.
And hammer on stovepipe is even worse because there's no real structure to it.
No.
And I remember calling the radio, and they're like, "There's water blowing 50 feet in the air in front of town hall." And I'm like, "Yeah, that was me. I shut a hydrant too quick." And I was 1.5 miles away.
Wow.
But that stuff just couldn't take anything, and you get a little rust on it, it would blow a hole, and it was what you'd see out west.
Wow, unbelievable. Yeah, it gets to the point. There's a lot of change throughout the industry and throughout the years, and technologies, both in piping materials, brass. Obviously we started out. You and I started out. You were flaring copper tubing and so forth, and hitting your hand.
I remember when I was working in the service end of it, I was one of the first contractors to put a Neptune radio in New England.
Is that right?
I remember it was in Egremont, Massachusetts, over by Lee. and we were one of the first ones to do it. And now these things are everywhere.
Sure,
So.
sure. Now, if I ask, what meters are you using over in Bristol?
So we are 100% Neptune
Okay.
in Bristol, and which is good for us because we're uniform.
Okay.
So when I started there, we spent 10 years and upgraded our entire system to radio.
Yeah.
And did it over time.
Okay.
So it was about an 8-year project. We did it ourselves, and we're 100% radio.
So you must have worked with Tom Beatus quite a bit.
Tom and I, yes, worked very close with Tom, and it's ironic. Tom and I came from the same town. So
Is that right? Wow.
yeah, we both grew up in Newington. So.
Yeah, well, it's good. Great golfer too.
Oh yes.
He could hit him long, hit him hard. My
Yeah.
God, unbelievable. So anyway, all right, Rob Longo, thank you so much for stopping by. And
Oh, thank you.
This is our episode number 7 of the future of the water and wastewater industry, and we're going to get your office manager over here after lunch, maybe, and see how she likes the water industry.
She's learning it, so go easy on her. But she's diving in. So
That's a beautiful thing. So. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our episode number 7 with Mr. Rob Longo, who is the superintendent of the Bristol Water and Sewer, too, right?
Sewer.
And Sewer, too. So, again, Rob, thanks so much. And probably go over and see if we can put the arm on Romana here, too.
I think you could do it.
All right, fantastic. And we'll see you soon. Thanks so much.